Welcome to the very first episode of Deem's Reviews by this guy. And on this episode, we take a look at a cheap MP5 Chinese gaming handheld. Now, as I discussed in Deem's Unbox It, the device that's on the box is not what's inside the box, but of course, the Chinese. But anyway, this handheld doesn't specifically have a name. It does have a model number. I can't remember it. Overall, when you first take a look at the device, you can obviously see they've taken some pointers from the PlayStation Vita. Well, the device itself is made of cheap plastic, of course. Everything is pretty much cheap plastic. Now, there is some benefit to that. I've already dropped the device on the floor and there was no damage. I mean, the only thing that happened was right here, piece of the plastic lifted up, I was able to snap it back down. It's actually smaller than the Vita. It has all the exact same buttons that the Vita does. It even has the little indicator light up here. It has two analog sticks. They're not the same that are on the Vita. They're kind of two sticks that resemble the PlayStation Portable. Now, first, I don't get why they put these two on there. Obviously, it's just for aesthetics because this one doesn't really do anything. You can press down and it'll jump. That's about it. At least that's what I've noticed in, I think, Mario RPG. Now, I've had this for a little while and I noticed that, and the whole reason why I'm talking about the analog sticks not working, because this thing only seems to play 8-bit Nintendo games. Nintendo, Game Boy, Game Boy Advanced. It only seems to play those type of games. I've tried to put a Sega game on here, it does not work. Sega Game Gear would not work. I even tried to put a 64 game on here. I knew it was going to work, but I tried anyway because they've put these two analog sticks on there. I kind of thought maybe it would work. It did not. So I don't know why they went with this two analog sticks. If I'm wrong and someone did get something to work on here that utilizes the analog sticks, please let me know in the comments down below. Now, overall, the device is pretty responsive. It claims to have 2,000 games on it. Wrong. Most of the games are repeats. And I kind of wish, I've tried, but I can't seem to figure it out. I kind of wish that I can find a way into the system, kind of, root it like you would do a cell phone and delete some of this stuff, because right now I've already taken up the extra memory that's in it. Now, you do have what it says a TF card slot. It does to me look like a micro SD slot. I have not tried to put any cards in there. It has a USB port, mini, not a micro. I personally wish it was a micro. It has TV out, which I've tried, and I will show a video. I've tried to put this on there on my HD TV, and obviously we all know what to expect. It was blurry, but it might work pretty well on a regular CRT TV. The thing was responsive. I didn't see any lag in the video. It has a headphone jack and a reset button. It has your volume buttons up top, and it has the whole button, which I imagine would stop you from being able to press any buttons, and you got your power button, which you hold for the device to turn on. Intro picture, I don't know why they're showing that game, because this console is not capable of playing a PlayStation game. And then it comes to the menu here. Alright, let's talk about the menu system, gameplay, and some of the apps that are in here, and kind of the controls. Let's first start out with what this thing is packing. Alright, memory space, this is the specs. It's got a 512 megabytes or more. Obviously they're very vague. Battery's a 3.7 volt lithium battery. LCD is 480 by 2720 VGA. It's got 260,000 colors, TFT screen. It's not a touch screen, so you can't. Functions are music. It supports WMA, DRM, WMA, OGG, APE. I'll put the specs up on the screen. Let's get into what's in the menu. You got your pre-selected games that they've put here. There's nothing special about the way they set up the menu. It's pretty basic. It's pretty normal for a Chinese device. Music.
There's no music on here. I'm pretty much not going to use this as a music player. Of course, the buttons are different. Normally, this would be the select button, which is X. And this would, I think this, which is square, would be your back, but it's not, or circle. Circle's actually your select on this. You got your cinema for playing movies, your camera, which obviously the video and the picture quality isn't great. You got your FM radio. I don't even know if that works. I haven't used it. Yeah, you got to connect the earphones. And your tools, which are your pretty standard tools that they put on Chinese devices, pretty similar to your Chinese smartwatches. You got your calculator, your calendar, your stopwatch, record. I obviously, and most people are not going to use anything on here because this is basically for playing games. I mean, that's what I got it for. And then you got your browser. This is the browse through the files on there. Any of the games you got on there. And you got your settings, which you got your effect settings, which I haven't seen a difference in this. Then you got your display. These are all pretty normal settings, kind of similar to what comes on Android. Your power saving, your date, the TV out you'll use for when you plug this into a TV out. I've already talked about the ports on here, but I'll let you see them again. You got your USB, your TV out, your headphone jack. It says TF card. That to me looks like a micro SD card, but who knows. And your reset button. And on this side, as soon as it decides it's going to focus, I guess it's not. Anyway, you got your power button here. This is your hold button. That's your mic. And these are your volume rockers. And then you got your trigger buttons, which if you press them up here, they do not work. You have to kind of press them down here. And on the back, you have your camera, which is right there. Then there's nothing on this side and nothing on that side. Let's get into some gameplay. At least this thing only comes with 4 gigs, which is a letdown, but you can put another card in. And here's your classic games. These are the games that they pre-installed. And I'll move down the menu so you can see, if you pay attention, you're probably going to see the games repeated. See, we've already seen Rugrats, but it would obviously be nice to kind of delete some of these repeats. There you go, Crash Bandicoot, which we've already seen. It'd be kind of nice to delete some of these repeats, and as I've said, this thing only seems to play Nintendo, Game Boy, Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance, and Super Nintendo. I've tried Game Gear, I've tried Sega. I've even put a 64 game in here to try to use these analog sticks. Zombie Nation seems to be a shooter. As you see, for the most part, the responsiveness on this is pretty good. I'm pressing the button and it's doing what it's supposed to. There doesn't seem to be any lag. See, as you can see, this is responsive too, and here's the thumbstick. That's all it does. I don't know why it's on here. As I said, it's pointless. There's really no 3D games you're gonna play. Come on. As you can see, the speaker's pretty loud. See, moving it, it's pretty responsive, as I said. Doesn't seem to be any lag on this as well. As you see, I suck, but nonetheless, you see it's responsive. That was Game Boy. It's kind of hard trying to play through your camera screen. But nonetheless, you see the device in action. It is very responsive. The controls have no lags, the game doesn't lag. For 29 bucks, 27 bucks, whatever you get it for, this device is well worth it if you're only looking to play Super Nintendo, Game Boy, NES, Game Boy Advance. Like I said, Sega does not work for it. Any of the 3D 64-bit systems don't work like 64. I haven't tried to play PSP games on it, but I highly doubt it's going to work. So this extra analog stick here, if you want to call it that, does not have any real function, but for looks, for aesthetics.
The device itself is very responsive. It only cost, I got it for $27. It's going anywhere from, I think, 25 to 30 bucks. And for that type of money, it's well worth it. I mean, I could take this on the go. I don't have to worry about damaging it. If I lose it, oh well, you know, it was $27. It's better than taking my Vita, which cost me $200 and something and losing it. This thing, if it happens, oh well, I'll go out and buy another one. Now, I've taken pictures on it. Pictures, obviously, we all know is not going to be of that great quality. I've taken video. The video, obviously, is not going to be of great quality. It's more or less to just get in a little retro love. I highly suggest you check it out. It is well worth the money. I'll leave a link to it in the description down below. As always, thank you for watching the first episode of Reviews by this guy. I'm hoping it's going to be the star of the Deem channel. I'm in the future going to do a review on my LG 20, as I have said in the unboxing of it. And I have some other devices I'd like to do some reviews on. And from here on in the future, as I purchase more devices, I am going to do some reviews to try to help somebody make a decision as to whether something like this is worth your time and money. Please, if you have any questions, leave them in the comments down below. Thank you for watching the very first episode of Reviews by this guy. Please hit the like and subscribe button if you'd like to see more.